Here we are, and welcome to a special meta episode of Friday Night Movie where Lily and I are going to record a little intro here, and then we're going to go into the amazing fun interviews that I got to do at AwesomeCon this past year. But before we get into that, Lily, how are you doing?
I'm good. I was at a kid's birthday party today, and somebody comes up to me and goes, wow, like I've been really following, and your brother is crazy. And I was like, what? I'm like, what are you talking about?
Wait,
they're
someone
like,
in the Canary Islands is following this?
And they're like, I'm like, I'm sorry, what? My brother? You mean Jose's brother? I'm like, what? What are you talking about? They're like, well, the Instagram stories, like, he's nuts and seems really busy. And I was like, are you following Pancake 4 Tables? Is that what you're talking about? She's like, yeah. I'm like, so you don't follow the podcast Instagram, but you follow Pancake 4 Tables? She's like, I guess. I'm like, well, can you also follow our podcast? And she was like, wait, your brother's got a lot going on. I was laughing so hard. I was like, it's so entertaining, isn't it? Especially this weekend.
This weekend, yes. Well, that's great to know that the podcast is making it out all the way to
far end
birthday party scene. As I was approaching people for interviews, I was telling them that we had international listeners, and I know that it's true, and you know that it's true, but you got to wonder how much people believe you. So hopefully the amazing people that took time to spend chatting with us, they will hear this and believe us further based on that story that I did not know you were going to tell. And do you have, before we go into the interviews that I conducted with 3 amazing groups of or individuals / groups of people, do you have any questions for me about my experience? Would maybe you'd like to interview me about AwesomeCon?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to know, like, you've been to a few different cons at this point. I just want to know, like, what's, the overall vibe and what it was like to be there with the creators of the All-Star Comic-Con there as fans, I'm assuming, right? They're just there.
Yeah, they organized a big meetup, and they were out with their kids and shopping with their kids, Mike and Kevin, and yeah, it was very cool to see them. So I've been going to AwesomeCon for a number of years, and I've been bringing the family every year, and it's always been in a big space since it was taken over by this bigger con company in the DC Convention Center. But we've seen it over the years just get bigger and bigger and bigger, both in terms of the number of people participating and in terms of the level of celebrities. And this time, it was mobbed. There were tons and tons of people, amazing cosplayers everywhere, who are really, really nice people. The vibe is always really, really nice, very inclusive atmosphere. But in terms of celebrities, which is not necessarily the focus of every Comic-Con, but I think when you have one this big and you're paying a lot of money, you want to have them. I don't know if they could ever outdo what they did this year for me, because this time they had the one, the only Weird Al Yankovic.
It's pretty impressive.
He was there, and is
he just like there all day, like standing behind a desk, just waving at people, like the Queen or the Pope?
Well, he did a Q&A on the first day, which I got to attend, which was really fun. And he took an hour of questions, or maybe 45 minutes of questions from fans, just one by one. The fans were so kind and so respectful of everybody's time. Everybody followed the rules. Nobody made it about them. And he just, boom, answered question by question by question, and was just really sweet to everybody.
What was the best question you heard?
Ooh, what was the best question I heard? I think the best question I heard was, well, there were the thing with Weird Al is that a lot of questions, when you follow him as much as I have, a lot of the same questions get asked over and over again. And so I was looking for things I hadn't heard, or maybe some outlandish moments. And one great moment was someone asking him who he thought the other good parody people were today.
Oh,
and he talked about The Lonely Island, and he talked about the Flight of the Conchords, and I forget the other one that he talked about, but he talked about those two. But the point he made about it was that what's great about all these other people doing parodies is that not everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody has a different angle that they're approaching it with. And so it's not a competition, but he really loves the work that those guys are doing. And I think he's I don't know if he's collaborated with Flight of the Conchords, but he's definitely collaborated with the Lonely Island guys for like a carpool karaoke. And so I thought that was a really cool insight because I am very interested into what he's listening to and following. And then
right, like I don't know, like, yeah, does he just like, I can't imagine what he sits at home just like listening to.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was this great moment where it was towards the end, and a woman comes up and asks him who he thinks the best rapper is, because he has rapped on a number of songs and he's gotten very high compliments from people.
Did he say Coolio?
No, he just said himself. Which I thought was which I thought was cute and also like a very rap thing to say. Like rappers are always hyping themselves. So I think because he didn't want to, he was very conscious not to play favorites in different situations. And so
did anybody ask him like his real thoughts on Prince?
He's been asked the Prince thing so many times. A room full of hardcore fans, we're not going to ask him about Prince. Like he mentioned Prince and how he'd never gotten to do a parody of Prince, but nobody got up and asked him. I think someone referenced Prince a little bit, but not really. But then I got to go to his autograph station on the first day and meet with him for a couple minutes, and he signed a bunch of autographs, and he was super kind and sweet. And you know how I get very anxious when I meet my heroes because like Lord knows what I'm going to say or what I'm going to do.
Is this only the second time you've met him since that first time years ago in Montreal when you were a kid?
So when I was 10 years old, I told him this story. I said, I just want you to know when I was 10 years old, my mom stormed her way backstage at the Just for Last festival, and she made you wait at your tour bus for me, just like they did on the Goldbergs. And I came back and I met you, and you shook my hand and you said to keep in touch. And so I'm here. And he said,
I'm here.
And he said,
20 years later.
Yeah,
29 years later.
And he said, I'm glad you did. And then he signed a few autographs, and then we chatted a little bit about some songs, and I mentioned to him that the kids were coming the next day and they were going to take pictures with him, and he was really excited about that. And I then talked to him about one of my favorite songs, which is Genius in France, which is a Frank Zappa tribute song, if you will. It's not exactly a parody. And he was very cool about he was very cool about explaining a little bit about that recording process. And then the next day we brought the kids to meet him at the photo op, and he couldn't have been kinder. And
sure, he was so nice. He seems like such a nice dude. And Jose was like, who is this guy? Why is that always Shy's avatar when he like plays a game? What does that guy look like avatars that Shy chooses when he plays like Nintendo? And I was like, I'm just gonna let this one go. I can't. Like, I don't have the headspace right now to get into it, but it's really important to Shy.
So it was a very, very, I would say, like, emotional 24 hours. It was rewarding. It was great to spend time with him. He's just one of these people I'd love to be friends with. And then the rest of the con was just a great vibe. We were walking around. People were really sweet to the kids. I have a very special story to tell when we do our Cobra Kai bit about meeting the entire cast of, or not the entire cast, but the lead cast of Cobra Kai, and Ralph Macchio, Billy Zabka, and Martin Koch. But I will save that for our next episode.
For sure.
We're going to record in a few minutes. And with that, let's get into those interviews. Enjoy. Here we are at AwesomeCon with DC area legend, Friday Night Movie all-star.
Yeah.
In fact, all-star is the best way to describe him. We've got Mike McNutt.
It's all-star weekend here at AwesomeCon.
Exactly. We got Mike McNutt, founder of the All-Star Comic-Con, which is a month away, a little over a month away.
You know what? I'm not good with numbers.
It's like 6 weeks away?
A little more than a month away, yeah.
And as everybody knows, Friday Night Movie will be there. We will be taping bits. We will be promoting the heck out of it. Come on down. It's an incredible pop culture community. But you guys have come out and gathered a group of people here at AwesomeCon today.
Yep, we had a meetup today. It was really cool, about 2 o'clock this afternoon. Good number, about 40, 50 of our favorite All-Stars and some new All-Stars. We appreciated that. Came out, we gave away some T-shirts, we gave away some hats, we gave away some tickets, we gave away our our franchise rings. We gave our All-Star Awesome Con rings.
I've got my yellow ring.
Only 25 were made for this special day. So everyone just enjoys themselves. Now we've kind of set the crew out about Awesome Con with a lot of our 25% off passes to give to people that they think, are part of the tribe.
That's awesome. I met a couple of folks. I will be passing that along as well.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really cool that people, when I first walked in, were like screaming from everywhere, All-Star! Like, that's a really great feeling to know that, the brand and our faces are really being recognized at an event this huge and impressive.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In fact, the intimacy of All-Star is one of the things that, as incredible as Awesome Con has been, I miss the intimacy of
there's
All-Star.
Room for every kind of con there is, and we're a unique kind of con. We are not a celebrity con. We are not just a cosplay con. We are a fandom experience and adventure for everyone. All ages, all, heights, weights, everybody.
That's awesome. I'm so excited for it. Now, because you're on Friday Night Movie,
oh, yes.
And we love our bits, we love our games, I'm going to play a little buy, rent, or meh with you. I think you played that with us before.
Buy it, rent it,
or meh something. I'm going to give you 3 things.
Okay.
You got to slot them one into each of those categories.
All right.
Like you'll buy it, like you'd put that in your iTunes library.
Yep.
You'd rent it, you'd stream it, or meh, and now that meh can have whatever quality you'd like it to have. It can be a meh, like you hate it, or it can be like a meh, please don't make me choose.
Okay, cool. I'm in. Give me.
Now you just met the great Daniel San himself,
yes,
Ralph Macchio.
Yes, I did.
And you had him autograph something really special.
Yes,
do you want to describe
cool.
that?
Well,
before I give you my buy
several months ago, Kevin Bednarz, my business partner for All-Star, we went out to LA for the Stanley Tribute. And the day before we went to the Stanley Tribute, we happened to do kind of our own personal Delta Bravo tour. And Delta Bravo Urban Exploration is a kind of a crew founded by Danny Boy O'Connor from House of Pain, who will be at All-Star Comic-Con. Hashtag
awesome.
Always plugging. But what we do is you kind of find memorable landmarks from movies, TV, special pop culture references or special historical references. So I forget the actual name of the apartments, but those apartments that Daniel LaRusso lived at during The Karate Kid are still there. And from the outside facade, it's the exact same look as it was back in 1984 or so when the movie came out. So Kevin and I spent some time in that one and several other locations, but I took a picture of me doing the fall when Daniel kicks the door open and his friend, soon to be not friend, Freddie, falls over on the backside.
Yeah, Freddie, by the way.
Yeah, Freddie.
That is a fair weather friend if I've ever seen one.
Friend for real. But he takes the fall, so there's a picture of me taking the fall above the actual scene of Daniel kicking the door. So Ralph got a pretty good laugh out of that. So it was a good time. It's a Karate Kid. You got it.
Okay, all right. So buy, rent, or meh.
Okay.
Daniel's 3 finishing moves from the 3 movies. Okay? You've got the crane kick, you got the drum punch, and you have the lesser-known kata that he does in what I think is the underappreciated Karate Kid Part 3.
Wow, you would think that. Let's see, buy. All right, definitely, I've got to buy the crane. Most telegraphic move of all time, but it's iconic. You see it a mile away. What is he going to do? There's nothing else you can do with one leg raised and the other two in an open position.
And they've also showed it to you in the movie multiple times and told you there is no defense.
Yeah, I'm like, there isn't? Because obviously there was a defense because Chosen in number 2
crushes it,
defended it, threw it out the window. Like, what are you doing? Chosen's like, what are you doing, dude? I kill people for a living. Okay, so I got to buy that just because of the iconic nature of it. Now, the next 2, really tough. I'll rent kata.
You'll rent kata.
Because
that warms my heart.
There's a little bit of secrecy in there. There's a little bit of movement. There's a little bit of like the one guy was like, I think he's having a hallucination, Daniel. Like, it is kind of weird. It's good for the body, soul. It's a little bit of Tai Chi there going on.
Oh, yeah.
You kind of do like the Last Dragon thing when your arms are moving and you're going in multiple different directions. Like, I get that. Meh, and I mean this in a negative way, so there is no misunderstanding, is whatever the hell the drum thing was. I don't understand it.
Do you think they were like, let's just do a punch in this movie instead of a kick?
Well, I think so, but you couldn't find all the martial artists in the world. You couldn't find something else like, hey, listen, we got this crane thing. We need a new trademark for this movie. Hey, how about when the guy comes to you, you just punch him repeatedly? It wasn't a block punch thing. Like, I thought it was going to be something, because the drum, the way the arms move in the drum, I'm like, okay, well, there's the left blocking and then the right punches, which really isn't some kind of magical move. It's simply a block and a counter.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, not that I'm, Mr. Bruce Lee and all, not even Mr. Bruce Leroy, but yeah, I got to meh that one in a very negative way.
I agree wholeheartedly with you. The case I'll make for the kata and Karate Kid Part 3 is...
I gave it the silver medal.
Yeah,
I gave it a rent.
I'm just going to agree with you and make the case for why it deserves a rent, because you can't really beat the crane kick. Is that are you watching Cobra Kai right now?
Yes.
Okay, so Cobra Kai, which we are 4 episodes into in my household, which is terrific.
Oh, it's a great show.
I feel like the lessons that they were teaching with that kata of peace and balance are getting, but were done in a way too cursory way in Karate Kid Part 3, are being teased out in a much better character-driven way in the Cobra Kai series.
Okay.
So for me, retroactively, that kata looks way cooler because you see Daniel as this more spiritual character, as this more pensive, meditating character, a little more Miyagi-esque now.
And also, have you ever seen the movie Semi-Pro with Will Ferrell?
Yes, I have.
So when he celebrates that the teams are going to go to the NBA and he's swinging his arms wildly, that looks like the drum thing from Karate Kid Part 2. That's why I do not respect it. It's just Will Ferrell swinging his arms in a circular motion. Well, I don't understand it.
Well, that is amazing. Mike McNutt, co-founder of the All-Star Comic-Con, which Friday Night Movie will be at in June. Where can people follow you guys? Where can people still get tickets?
They can still get tickets at theallstarcomiccon.com. All right, hold this for me real quick. I have my sons with me. I'm going to... there's something, just in case. I don't know when you release the show. When do you release the show?
I'm going to edit this as before that's up. So I'm going to try to do it tomorrow.
For everyone listening on the podcast, before May 1st, 2019, if you use the code AllStar25 at theallstarcomiccon.com, you get 25% off any pass that we have left. So there you go. So you can catch us at theallstarcomiccon.com. Social media, it's at All-Star Comic-Con on Facebook and on Twitter, All-Star Comic-Con, and on Instagram, it's the All-Star Comic-Con.
Okay, now last thing before we go.
Ooh, give me.
You see Endgame?
Yes, I did.
All right, without any spoilers.
You can't.
Without any spoilers.
My tears, that's all.
Okay, all right, so that's it. Okay, that's the tears.
It's an epic movie that completes the circle in a way that I didn't think they were going to, just because it's pretty ballsy to close the circle on several of these folks.
Yeah.
Or close the circle on the entire 22-movie saga.
Unprecedented.
Yeah, it's unprecedented. There's always that what if, ... There is no ... That's it. And it was a beautiful, beautiful movie.
And I think what they did brilliantly also is they freed themselves up now to, like, if you were reading a book or watching a series, this series over, now people can jump on with some of the other characters where they show you where the emphasis is going to be, but you don't have to feel the pressure of 22 movies anymore.
And you don't have also kind of the fan disservice of saying, we want blah back, we want this. Like, no, it ain't happening.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
Yeah.
So we've moved on, just like a comic book, but you know what? Sometimes comic books bring people back. So who knows? We all don't know. But overall, just looking at it from a 22-movie perspective, what they did was an incredible undertaking that I think a lot of people still do not properly put in its place in history.
Oh, yeah.
That you're putting this story together over 10 years and 22 films, and it's cohesive.
And they didn't blow it.
Yep, and they didn't blow it. And the end, the end is the ultimate payoff. It could have been 5 hours. I didn't care. It was a great movie.
Yeah, that was great. Well, thanks so much, and thanks for doing this, Mike. I know you're busy. Have a great time at AwesomeCon, but most importantly, cannot wait to see you again in a few weeks for All-Star.
And Saturday night or Friday night, we're all going to talk movies.
Oh, yeah.
Hang out, talk movies or something.
Absolutely.
All right,
oh, yeah. My sisters will be at the party. So
party
happen.
time.
All right, take care.
All right.
Bye-bye. Shy here from the Friday Night Movie Podcast with Laura Gingrich, an incredible artist and creator. I feel so lucky that I just ran into her. She was giving away free stickers, and I love free stuff. So do my kids. And she is the creator of a new children's program, animated program, called Fish and Ships. And I'm going to ask her a few questions about that, and then she's graciously agreed to play a little Buy Renter Man with us. So, Laura, first of all, tell us all about Fish and Ships. What is it?
Hi, Shai. Thank you so much for having me on. It's incredibly being here in AwesomeCon DC. So Fish and Ships is a show that I'm creating. It's been in my head for about 7 years. And what we've got right now is we've got a world and we've got a country where we're engaging with people with different backgrounds and different cultures and different priorities. And we're not really communicating with one another. We're not talking to each other. And so in a lot of other content, you'll have bad guys. You'll have big, monstrous people who are trying to destroy the planet.
Which I would say for my kids is sometimes a stopping point, because they have increasingly gotten afraid of bad guys. As they're really little, I'd show them things that terrified them, but they didn't know what they were. But now that they're really aware of that good and evil, they'll ask me, they're like, oh, does that have a bad guy? I'm not interested in a bad guy. So if I may ask, what made you decide not to have bad guys?
Because so much content. It's like, you've got the bad guy, you destroy him, and the world is okay now. Except the problem is, in real life, let's say you do have a disagreement with someone, let's say you do find someone you don't understand, you start developing prejudices against, you can't just start making assumptions about these people and then all of a sudden, like, you can't blow people up. You can't do it. So much content. You got a bad guy, you blow him up, and the problem's solved. And that's not how the real world works.
So how do your characters break down? Are they like a community? Are they new people who enter into like a new world, like an immigrant situation? How does the story unfold?
So the pilot definitely deals with immigration. We've got 5 characters on the island so far, and then just like any good pilot or any good intro story, you've got one new character. And so for the pilot, you go through his eyes, and he gets an introduction to each of the characters and what they do and what they specialize in, and what they bring to the table and what they bring to their community.
So we love, one of the things we talk about on Friday Night Movie all the time is character development. That is usually, whether we want it or not, it becomes the like bar by which we end up loving something. So I'm looking at the character sheet right now. I will add a picture of this when we drop the episode. There is a raccoon lemur type character, and then there's a whole bunch of, I would say, humanoids with different shaped ears. Can you walk me through some of the different characters?
Absolutely. So what I've been doing lately is I've been doing these character explorations, and with those, I've been using a shorthand of historical figures. So I've identified a historical character that kind of represents each of these 6 characters. So instead of giving you a 10-minute summary about this girl here, the little girl with Impala ears, all I say is Nikola Tesla, and you have a pretty good idea of who she is.
So she's like an inventor, likes energy.
An eccentric scientist that just pursues for the sake of science itself, often just going above and beyond. And the wonderful, and I love her, and I come from San Francisco in the Bay Area, so tech is like totally up my alley.
My sister Becky lives in Berkeley.
That's right, she's over at Pixar, or was for a while.
Her brother is at her husband is at Pixar. She is a documentary filmmaker.
I love documentaries. I love documentaries so much. I don't have the patience to make them, but I love consuming them.
Okay, so
she's Nikola Tesla, Eisenhower, Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Amazing. And I would add, just for the viewers, the Ruth Bader Ginsburg character here is a beautiful black woman with a very large, like, afro-like hairdo, which I think is such a cool way that you put Ruth Bader Ginsburg into a character that doesn't look like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. What makes you come to that conclusion as an artist?
It was because I already knew, I had an idea of who these characters were, and what they were trying to do and how they went about their lives. And then I went and found historical characters that kind of represented that. It's not that I was like RBG. It was that she, in my mind, was the first character to really come together. She was for a very long time like the leader. She still appoints herself as the leader. She's always fighting for the little guy. She's always standing up, and she fights for equality. And so the more I thought about it, I went through a bunch of different historical figures, and I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg was the one that I found best kind of inspired that, or best related to that idea, that character, that drive.
Okay, tell me about the lemur.
Oh, the lemur is wonderful.
You have an awesome stuffed animal of the lemur as well.
Thank you so much. He's lemur. His name is Monkey. He's not a monkey, though. He was originally a capuchin, but we just went through draft after draft after draft of, like, uncanny valley capuchin monkeys. And I finally just got to the point where I was like, you know what? Let's go with the lemur, because you've got kind of the panda aesthetic. He's very easy to read because you've got a very iconic face.
It makes me, one of my, I don't know if you were a fan of the Avatar series, but it evokes to me Momo, the lemurs, and the many other lemurs from the Avatar series, which is one of my favorites.
And that seems to have been working really well, too, in terms of, like, people walk by, Momo, wait, is that Momo? And then you start the conversation.
Oh, that's really, really cool. Okay, in this group, is there a character you identify with most?
You know what's really funny? I identify very much with these two, with Nikola Tesla and the RBG character. The Eisenhower was very, very important, but it was very hard for me to understand, and I had to have a lot of conversations with people that were not like me to really understand what drives someone who is very family-oriented, who's a protector, who's very risk-averse. But when I talk to other people about me, they tell me that I am more like Tessa, who's actually, we've got a lot of historical figures, and she is Audrey Hepburn, who is actually more of an actress. So you're like wondering, like, why an actress? Well, because soft power, and she's very quiet, and she's very aware and very sensitive, and she's very emotional. She's the most emotionally mature one of the whole bunch.
Wow.
So that's who people tell me I'm like, but I don't think so. I feel, you know what it is? I'm a shy extrovert.
Oh, okay. Those exist. Those exist. I'm married to an outgoing introvert, so. So, all right, we are here with Laura Gingrich, creator of Fish and Chips. Now, you have been very gracious.
Thank you.
To play with your time. But before you go, you got to play some Buy, Rent, or Meh with us. Okay?
All right.
Now, you are an animation expert in the field of storytelling with the animated ways. And we were talking a little bit about Pixar. I'm going to throw 3 major Oscar-winning Pixar epics at you and ask you to buy, rent, or meh. And now remember, buy means you love it, you want to take it home, put it in your iTunes library. Rent, you'll stream it. And meh, you can define whatever you mean by meh. It can be a very complex meh, or it can be like a meh. So, Inside Out, Up, and Coco.
No.
Buy, rent, or meh.
So hard.
That is the point. Now, if Lily was here, my middle sister, she cheats every single time. So and refuses to put things in categories. So if you really don't want to, or like people,
I can.
Okay.
So Inside Out, Up, and Coco.
Yeah.
All right. You know, I met a girl once who was on the Up team, and her entire job for like 6 months was drawing veins on leaves.
That's amazing.
For 6 months. So I'm going to have to go with meh would be Coco, because I love the visual design of that movie, and I love the culture and how well it represents and expresses and explores that. But Coco is a story about a little millennial kid who's kind of a little jerk when he's young, and his whole family is like, you know what's important to us? Family. Family is important to us. And he's like, I don't think family is important. And for 90 minutes, he goes through that story. You go through it with him. He doesn't learn anything. The main character in Coco has no character arc.
Oh, wow.
And it's not like a good Forrest Gump movie where everyone else has a character. Your protagonist of Coco does not learn anything. Everyone's just like, wow, we were all along. It's like Footloose of like, no one can dance, no one can listen to music. Sure, it's an absurd problem, but the kid never realizes that family's important, and he never goes through a crisis either, where he's like, whoa, I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, you do matter to me.
Whereas I would say his grandmother and his grandfather probably go through a much more interesting journey as far as forgiveness and uncovering the truth about their relationship. But they are really side characters. Very cool. Okay. Up and Inside Out.
So I'd have to rent Up because I love that movie. And it's so delightfully eccentric. I also met a woman who's working on it before it came out, and she tried to pitch it to me. And I was like, what's happening in Berkeley right now? Like, have you guys been going to Berkeley like a little too frequently? Because that's absurd. And I love it, and it's a great story, and it's very visually beautiful as well with the balloons, and it's very iconic. But I would have to buy Inside Out because I think it is such a powerful story. And I also love how Inside Out has helped kids who have trouble communicating, where like they have these tools now where you have all of the different characters, and it's like, how are you feeling? And instead of being able to say like, I'm really mad right now, they can't do that, but they can point to the angry character, and that just warms my heart in such a way.
Well, thank you so much, Laura Gingrich, creator of Fish and Chips. Where can people follow you? What can people do to support you as an artist?
Thank you so much for having me on, Shai. Let's see. The easiest way to find me is lauragingrich.com. That's LauraGingrich.com. And there you can see the pitch video, a small summary, and you can find the social links where you can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook.
Thank you so much. You have loyal fans at Friday Night Movie from now on. Pleasure.
Thank you.
We just shook hands, but you can't see it, audience. Thank you so much. All right, Friday Night Movie family, you've just finished listening to part 1 of our Awesome Con special. Hope you enjoyed listening to the interviews with Laura Gingrich, creator of Fish and Ships, and, of course, Mike McNutt, co-founder of the All-Star Comic-Con, where Friday Night Movie will be exhibiting in June. You can follow us, all of our shenanigans, at Friday Night Movie on Instagram and Twitter. You can buy tickets for All-Star, 25% discount if you order before May 1st. Come hang out with us. Come tape a segment the way Mike and Laura did. We'd love to have you. You don't even have to be promoting something. We just want to play any one of our crazy Friday Night Movie games with you if you come by. And of course, you can follow me at Pancake for Table. Stay tuned for part 2 of our Awesome Con special, which is essentially devoted to what I would call a team-up episode of myself and Craig and John from the Take Two Takedown podcast. And it is a hilarious time. Hope you enjoy it. And thanks so much for listening.